a very long list. I'm just living in this body falling apart. Fourth time's the charm. The first few times I didn't press record, good job me, and then the last time I didn't even say what I was talking about. So today I've decided to film a video of the symptoms that we associate with my craniocervical instability, because I am having craniocervical fusion in 2 weeks, 14 days. Today is the 12th of November, and I will be having the surgery on November 26th, 2019. As long as nothing crazy happens that doesn't allow the surgery to happen. I always put that out there, because if I am like, no, I'm for sure having it done in 14 days, there's gonna be something crazy that happens. The reason why I say that we think are associated with my head, because there's no really way to tell whether the symptoms are coming from my neck or anywhere on my spine, because I have a whole bunch of symptoms and things. We're really not sure like where it's coming from. Imaging wise, I had laying down flexion extension images done in March, and those showed instability, but we didn't really know what to do with it. So that was with a local neurosurgeon. By I say local, I mean in California, because I live in California, but the neurosurgeon that we went to see at the end of October, it was in Maryland, and he did more imaging, and this instability is pretty bad. So when I look up and down, your head is normal movement for the head on the spine like that is 0 to 2 millimeters. 3 to 4 is sometimes acceptable depending on symptoms and the other imaging measurements. And mine is moving 8 to 9 millimeters. So that's almost a centimeter, which is not very much if you really think about it, because that's like a fingertip amount of movement, but that's a lot when it's not supposed to be moving very much at all. Second reason why surgery is necessary sooner rather than later is anytime I turn my head, which I'm not going to do because it cuts off my vertebral arteries, which is the blood flow to your brainstem, and that's not a good thing. So I guess I'll just roll us back to 2014. Starting in 2014, I started to have these headaches, and they would come and go, but June, I had a headache that was terrible, and it was so weird, and it would come on every night, and it would be like 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 pain. And that would happen for a few weeks. I think it was maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks, and then it was gone. And then in August it came back again, and then it was gone, and it was kind of just that. And then I would have these weird fevers, but we also, with the fevers at that time, we don't think were associated with my neck. Fast forward to 2016, again, we're not really sure if this symptom has to do with my neck or not, but I started having drop foot, and so 2016 was a very rough year for my life. December 2016, December 7th at 9:37 a.m. a headache started and has yet to go away. At the time, I'm a lot more like alive and functioning now, as it's been almost 3 years. However, it is still there, and it is still ever as annoying as it ever was. After that, we had probably about a year and a half where that and difficulty swallowing were my really only main symptoms of that there was something going on. So I was having trouble swallowing, where things would go into my nose and things would go into my lungs, and it still happens all the time. Like half the time I'm pretty sure there's food in there currently. August of 2018 is when things, because I felt like we were just like cruising along and everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden it was like and that's what happened in August of 2018. They thought I had a stroke. I did not have a stroke, luckily. Nobody knew what was happening. They just said that I was no longer safe to drive or go to school. So I was basically just housebound for about 2 years now. But this past, so 2019 August, I started online school. So at least I'm not just sitting here staring at the walls anymore. Between August of 2018 and December of 2018, things got really bad. I lost use of this arm, which I'll come back to that. I lost use of this arm almost completely. It had about the same amount of function as it does now, so like I can move it, but it doesn't really help me to do anything. At that time, I had this terrible tingling in one side of my face. Like now I can move my eyebrows. You can tell this one doesn't move as well as this one though. Sometime in there also, I started having this problem where I would lay down and I would stop breathing. I would wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air, or my mother would come in the morning to wake me up for school, or nope, I wasn't going to school, for doctor's appointments and things that she would have to wake me up earlier in the morning so that she could take me. And she came and I was cold, not breathing, and she would like move me around, and then I would get into a certain position and would just like gasp in air. And she was like, that is terrifying. So for months she would come in and make sure that I wasn't on my back to sleep. I couldn't lay down on my back. I can still lay on my sides, because currently I can't lay on my back either. For all this, I forgot about this, I started this fever, and it would range from like 100.5 to 105.2. That's crazy, because your temperature should never be that high, but my temperature gets up that high. And it was a 7-month fever from May to December. My vision started narrowing in, and it's kind of narrowing in on me now, so hopefully the surgery will help this situation. And then my ears were constantly ringing. So that's all that happened between August 2018 and December 2018. In December 2018, the neck brace came into my life, and that made all of that improve. In December, when I first put on the neck brace, within about 2 weeks, my headache was decreased from, I think it was like an 8 or 9 all the time, down to a 4 or 5. And it has not been below a 5 or 6 before that for about 2 years. I got returned hand function, so this hand got all the way back up to about 85% before the second happened, which happened later on, or at the beginning of this year, 2019 year. And then I had no face tingling, so I had full function of my face muscles, and there was no more face tingling. It's back now though, but my eyebrows are moving again. Again, not as good as they were at the beginning of this year, but beggars can't be choosers. The best thing was the fever went away. The fever went away in, I think it was 1 day or 1 night. So I put it on, I think it was like 6 o'clock at night is when we went and picked up the neck brace. The next morning when I woke up, I was like, there's something different. I'm not sweating a lot. And so then I took my temperature, and that was the first time I had 24 hours, no fever, for over 7 months at that point. And then my vision widened back up. Within, I think, a week, I noticed that I had full vision again. And I was like, I'd probably be fine to drive, but don't worry, I didn't drive. And then I had no more ringing in my ears, which that was also crazy, because I now have constant ringing in my ears again, but I had constant ringing in my ears for probably a good year before that. And I don't really notice it, except for times like today where it's extra ringy other than normal. All that got better, and then we went January. I had what we know now as a chronic fatigue syndrome flare-up, or a crash, but I ended up in the hospital for, I think it was like 8 days, and I have an aneurysm apparently. It's okay exactly where it is for now. And then they couldn't figure out what was going on, so we came home and it eventually all cleared up, and I don't know what to say about that. And then March came around when I had my scans done, my original flexion extension MRIs done. And around that time is when, like, I think the days before I had the scans done, I was starting to head down the, but I didn't realize it, and so I didn't say anything about it while we were at the appointment. But we come home and things continue to just kind of like slowly pew. And then May happened, and April and May, my body just was like, so January rolls around and we go to my neurosurgery appointment at the very beginning of June. Nothing has changed. There's no permanent damage to my spinal cord or anything, but we still didn't know what we were going to do with my body. And so that's when we started realizing that we needed to look for a second opinion. So the second opinion that we just got in October. But between then, this is when the long list comes in. My headache went back up. It's now from like this back part of my head, and it like radiates towards the top. And then sometimes it feels like it comes through my head to my eyes, but we still, we know that my headache is not fully gonna go away with the surgery, but it hopefully will get better, and then I'll be a more like present person most of the time. Eye pain. So I think this started more in the second half of this year. Eye pain. It feels like my eyes are being pressed from behind. I guess that's also that headache. But then my eyes are super light sensitive some days. I guess I should have prefaced this with this list of things I'm listing off now is all things that I've been told that are from my head and neck situation. My vision just blacks out sometimes, and it's scary because it's long enough for me to be sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I just went blind. I'm completely blind, and then it comes back. So we still don't know what that is. I saw neuro-ophthalmology earlier, or no, at the end of last week, and they're hoping that it gets better with the surgery. So am I, as well as light flashes, so just in my vision. Sometimes it's just like a random like of light, and hopefully that gets better. I mean, those aren't really harming me in any way because I don't drive now, but if I were to ever want to drive again, I couldn't have those situations happening. My eye flutter. I'll try to find a video of it. I don't know if I'll be able to, but my eyes roll back into my head, and if I'm standing up, it's like bam, I hit the floor if I'm standing up when it happens. And my neurosurgeon thinks that that is my body's version of like passing out, because of the whole, when I turn my head, the blood flow gets cut off to my brain stem, and so that could cause that. Falling. I should just carry around a sign that says timber, because when I fall, I'm not a very graceful person to start with, but when I fall, it's just like kaboom, hit the ground. Decreased strength in the whole right side of my body, and we're not sure why it's so much more in the right than in the left. I've had a lot of weakness in my right arm and leg. Numbness that actually started in the left side of me. We don't know why that happened either, but I have some weird, like, basically it feels like I'm like tingling but on fire on my left side, and then my right side I really can't feel much. I also have peripheral neuropathy. I think that means that I have a decrease of sensation in all of my extremities, but also all of my like torso and everything, because the test that they did for that was they took a safety pin and just started stabbing it all over me, and I just sat there like, well, I mean, I know you're touching me, but that doesn't hurt. And then they poked my dad's finger, and my dad was like, ow! The difficulty breathing when I lay down is back. Sometimes it happens during the daytime now too, depending on what position I'm in. So if I let myself recline too far back, I will stop breathing. I can't raise my arm up all the way above my head, this one anymore. So like, This arm is raised up all the way, and this arm can raise up to about here. That started in June. In May, I was perfectly fine. I could raise up both of my arms. I went to that neurosurgery appointment in June and almost started crying when they had me raise up my arms and this one didn't go. It's really hard when you had abilities and then your new lack of abilities is pointed out to you by testing in a doctor's appointment, and you didn't know that it was going to be like that. Swallowing problems are back. Those actually got a lot better, then they got a lot worse, and so now we had to have my esophagus dilated, and that helped a lot with the food going into my nose. It has not helped with the food going into my lungs. That happens actually more now. So I also have no gag reflex, so you can I could brush the back of my throat with a toothbrush if I could brush my teeth. I can't brush my teeth because my arms are too shaky, and so when I go like this, I stab the back of my throat over and over and over again. So my parents brush my teeth for me. Face tingling is back. Luckily, I still have movement of my face, but this side of my face is really tingly and it kind of just feels asleep all the time. The fever, the 7-month fever is back, but it's not all the time. Sometimes, but now it's like it was before the 7-month fever started, where some days I just have a fever, and that got better with the next. So hopefully it'll get better after surgery too, and I won't be a sweaty mess anymore. Ringing in the ears. I have so much ringing and so much static sound in my ears nowadays that sometimes it's hard to even focus because of the ringing. Full body muscle cramping. This started to be a problem, I think April-ish. Anytime I try to relax my body, they all cramp. So it's like when you get a cramp in your side, but my entire body does that. So all of the muscles in my body are just like squeeze super tight. Although one good thing that has come out of that is that I still have arm muscles and leg muscles. I feel all twitchy and shaky. What does that mean? Pretty much my entire body is always kind of like doing this little earthquake thing. My whole body shakes. I have tremors. That's another thing that we don't really know where that's coming from, but my whole body shakes. But then when sometimes it's not a constant thing, which I mean, I'm very happy it's not a constant thing, but my muscles are very twitchy. So that day that Taylor and Zeus and I went to our classroom, in the car, I had like moved my arm and it shook or it twitched and it went like that, and I flicked our car into neutral, so Taylor's pressing the gas and we were going nowhere. No, oh,
it says right turn only, but I don't care.
Oh jeez, she's lady. It's not like there's any cars out right now.
I always go left when there are cars. Holy crap.
Oh, I think I hit that. Dizzy and vertigo. This one luckily also comes and goes, but pretty much my whole world will just start spinning. But anytime I walk, my whole world feels like it's like, so it feels like I'm on a very rocky boat all the time, which is very, very, very difficult to walk when you're like that. And then to have all the other issues that make me fall, walking just doesn't go successful. My right hand tremor, so confusion. The reason why I have to keep lists like this on my phone, confusion. I get confused when I'm talking and my sentences just go out the window and are no longer able to be thought by me. And then especially when I'm trying to have a conversation with people, if they say something and then I have an idea, if I don't just blurt it out in the moment, just cut them off right then, it's gone forever. Sometimes I don't even know where I am or who I am. That's really scary. But most of the time it happens, well, I spend like 99% of my time here at our house. So most of the time I know that I'm in a place that I'm safe. So I'm not really scared, but it's kind of scary to not know who you are or where you are, but you know you should know where you are. My neurosurgeon had mentioned something about cervical medullary syndrome. I'm pretty sure that's just a like catch-all term for the squishing of my brainstem that is being done by my head and all the symptoms that come from it. So it says it is a proposed syndrome caused by the brainstem compression, deformation, infection, or inflammation. It results in symptoms including dysautonomia, pain, numbness, apnea, altered vision, hearing, speech, swallowing and balance, vertigo, dizziness, altered sleep architecture, weakness, numbness, and sensory loss. Oh, I now know why he said that about my bod. All of those things are things that pertain to my bod. Things that we're not really sure, but probably are connected to my head to some degree. Super sweaty hands. Luckily, you guys can't feel my hands, but they kind of always feel like they're freshly washed because they're very wet all the time. I get these like attacks of nausea, as I call them, because I'll just be perfectly fine. Like we were at a restaurant and perfectly fine, just chilling, hanging out with the fam, and then I'm pouring sweat. I am white as a ghost, but also like turning green because I'm about to projectile vomit on everyone. And I don't know why this happens, because it happens not too frequently, but it happens enough that it's a problem in my life. Things that we really don't think are connected to my head, but also they could be. None of these things got any better with the putting the neck brace on last December, and they have not gotten any better over the year that I've been, or almost year that I've been wearing the neck brace. It constantly feels like I'm tipping over to the left. That is kind of just a part of my life. I actually most of the time don't sit, like I'm leaning against this, so I'm kind of can tell where I am, but 99% of the time I always have this hand down to keep me from just tipping over. On that same topic, I haven't really shown you guys this in a long time, and I definitely have never said anything about this, or I've never showed this on Instagram. I've talked about it. My spine is crunching over to the left now. I don't think that that is normal. Horrible balance. I have about as much balance as a baby giraffe. None. I can't tell when I'm falling till I hit the floor. That's why I say I should carry around a sign that says timber, because I walk like a chicken. I think I've showed you guys that before. Oh, my feet turning red or purple. My legs giving out. I don't think I have any videos of that. Sometimes when I'm just walking, my legs just give out. Out of nowhere too. It's like somebody chopped my knees with an axe. Numbness and pain in my feet. Every step that I take, it feels like I'm stepping on knives. It hurts and it's weird. And you know how it feels when your foot falls asleep if you sit on it too long? That's what my feet feel like always. Shooting pain down my legs. Just like how I have pain that radiates from my torso all the way down to my fingertips. My peeing problem, we're gonna get really TMI here. Starting in March, like very soon after those flexion extension MRIs, I started having this problem where it kind of always feels like I'm peeing. Always. And most of the time I'm not, but sometimes it just gets a little wet. Can't believe I'm talking about this. And then other times it'll be like 16 hours before I realize that I haven't peed in a while. And it kind of feels like I'm about to throw up, but no, I think it's just the amount of pee that was inside of me. And when I do go to the bathroom, it takes me a very long time because it's extremely difficult to start, and then it never stops. Like I have like the world's slowest pee stream or something, I think. The backs of my legs feel like they're tightening, which is weird, but I think it has to do with the whole body muscle cramping thing. It feels like the backs of my legs are always doing that, but most recently it has felt like the back of my ankle is always doing that. So this foot is pretty much always like that, but it's losing its flexibility because of how tight the muscle is getting. This side is very floppy, and I have to drop foot on that side still. I can't walk on my heels, and then I can't walk toe to heel, heel to toe, whichever one they call that. I think we finally reached the end. Surgery is in 2 weeks, but by the time you guys see this video, it'll probably already have happened. So hopefully by now I am resting up in the hotel and healing up well, and have had no complications and will have no complications. So I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye!